you watch Baby Reindeer and your reaction to that show, what you drew from your heart is to say, let me go and find the stalker. Let me go and find that psycho. That's what you took away from the show. We're being told we have Buenos and Reese's Pieces and whatnot, but everything is a Twix. It looks like a Twix. It tastes like a Twix. We don't have any variety. Men love drama. Like, that is what I am discerning from this entire feud. Men love tea. They love shade. They love drama. I need to think of like a song or a chant or something like that isn't corny to embrace my listeners when you join me every week for a new episode. I really feel like I should do that for you guys. But welcome back to It's That Deep, the podcast. Woo! Screams, shouts, cheers, all of the above. I'm excited, guys. I'm excited. Oh, let me do my natural thing. Okay. I'm your host. My name is Feyisara, and this is a podcast where everything is that deep. So if you've ever been told it's not that deep, man, if you've ever been told you're doing too much, it's a lie. Everything is that deep over here. So thank you so much for joining me for another episode. But I'm excited, if you cannot tell, for two reasons. I'll give you number one. This is our 20th episode. Yes, 20 episodes in the cut. Very proud of me. Love that for me. It came a bit later than I had planned, which is actually number two as to why, reason number two as to why I'm excited, because I am back. I took 2 weeks off, little hiatus, very unplanned, and it actually was quite disheartening. But your girl had tonsillitis. She absolutely did have tonsillitis, and besides the fact that it was quite painful, and I couldn't eat, that's a really big issue, because I do like food quite a bit. I also could not talk, and I would think that somebody with a podcast would need to be able to talk, and so I couldn't talk for like a week and a bit without significant pain. But let me know, I wasn't dying, but it was painful to talk, so I could not do the podcast for 2 weeks. So I'm excited to be back, man. I'm excited to chop it up. I'm excited to gist and just get into all of the things that have been happening. And I'm trying to like contain my anger, because actually the 2 very weeks, my God, the 2 very weeks that I did not record, it seems like that was when all of the things were happening. We had we had local elections here in the UK, we had mayoral elections in London and I think Manchester, we had this Euphoria drama. I don't know if you guys saw that on TikTok. They tried to gaslight us into, they said, here you go, you N-word with the hard ER, here you go, here's your inclusivity. They tried to sell a black, like literally like this, like the color of this mic, a black foundation to black audiences in the name of inclusivity. And then they gaslit us when we said, there is nobody on the face of this earth that is that color. What are you doing? So that happened. What else happened? Really sad was the murder of Daniel Ajorin, a 14-year-old who was killed in East London. And not even, I mean, his murder is the most devastating thing, but just as the British media do in the aftermath of his murder, all of the nonsense and all of the indifference that, I speak about so often. And yeah, I mean, God deal with the media, because that was terrible. We had, I think Rihanna released something, if I'm not mistaken. What else did we? Oh, we had, I said had, this one is even still going on. The girls are fighting, the girlies, the rap girlies. Kendrick Lamar and Drake are beefing. And it's so funny because I literally said a few weeks ago, think about the messiest person you know. It's a man. It is a man. And I think I even named Drake Mr. Aubrey. I don't know his surname, but I think I even named him as a very messy woman. And lo and below, look what happened. I don't like Drake, but anyway, So they're still fighting, they're still, doing their online internet beef. And let me tell you something, and then we'll get into our honorable pick for this week. But let me say something. Men love drama. Like, that is what I am discerning from this entire feud. Men love tea, they love shade, they love drama. These are the very same men who will come and form and package online and tell us, I love like the TikToks where you see women watching like the Real Housewives, and they'll be like, oh, my husband is not interested, he doesn't care about it. But you'll see the husband in the corner of the room watching. Then he gets a bit closer to the TV, then he's standing in front of the TV and he's commentating on Lisa Vanderpump and Kyle Richards. Please, men love drama. They were dissecting, breaking down the rap verses, BBL Juicy. They love it. They love it. Men are hella sassy. And so that's my biggest takeaway from Kendrick and Drake. But I'm really not invested in that beef. But there is a beef that I am invested in. So let's jump straight into our honorable pick. I feel like because we've caught up, like we've just a little bit, we've kind of recapped everything that's happened in the last few weeks. I kind of felt like there's no need for 2 honorable picks. So let's just get straight into it. Speaking of sassy men and online beef, I want to talk about beef that I have, and I feel like if you've been around here long enough, you should know who I'm gonna say, because it's so funny, something just came to mind. Somebody texted me a few episodes back and they were like, sis, just relent a little bit on Keir Starmer, like take it easy, bro. And I'm like, no, I will not, because as I've said before, if Keir Starmer has 100 haters, they've times me by 100 on this earth. I have, even if it's unrequited, I have serious beef with that guy, because I just feel like some of the happenings that have been taking place in the last week have been very revealing about, and exposing, I will say, about really who this guy and the Labour Party that he's creating is. Why do I say this? So obviously we had the local elections as of recent, and Labour, do you know what? They did pretty well. I'll give them that. And then we had the mayoral elections here in London. And what has happened in like this post local election hype, a trend, if I can say that we've been seeing, is that Tory MPs are defecting from their party and jumping ship to other parties, namely Labour. And the reason I say it's a trend is because maybe in my predictions, I feel like we're going to see more of it. There's like rumours and gossip in the Westminster Mill, that more people are considering defecting to Labour. But I really think, like, when I sit down and I read the news about who's defected and why they've defected, it's showing me how little political choice we have in this country. Like, we don't have the variety that we've been told we have on offer. I was reading an article about the latest lady who defected to Labour. I can't say her surname, so I'm so sorry, I'm not going to try. But her name's Natalie. And, Miss Natalie, I think she's the MP for Dover, is considered to have been on the right of the Conservatives. Like, you get a party, but you get different sort of perspectives within one party. So you may get someone who's like, they're right, but they're a bit more centre. This lady was considered to be on the right of the right. And so for me, it's telling that a Tory MP who sat on the right of that party can feel so, okay, yes, dissatisfied with her party, but enough to jump ship to Labour, who's supposed to be ideologically different from her and everything she stands for. The fact that she's so content in doing that, and the fact that Labour have welcomed her with open arms in that regard, tells me everything I need to know about the fact that there is no real political choice in this country. Like, the beauty of politics is that everything exists on a spectrum. So you have people who sit on the right, you have people who sit on the left, you have people who sit on the center, you have people who don't even identify with anything on the spectrum. But we as an electorate get to scan the spectrum every election. We get to read the manifestos and we get to say, oh, you look like you align with my values, you align with my core beliefs, I am going to invest my vote in you. But we have that impression, but I don't think we have that in reality, because again, like, Labour as it currently is so ideologically similar to Conservatives that their own MPs, sitting Conservative MPs can say, I'm gonna jump ship. You would imagine that would be a big shift in terms of ideals and policy and belief, but it's really showing us that there's not a massive shift. Why? Because Keir Starmer is a Tory in a red tie. Like, we've gotten to the point as a society where, I'm gonna be honest, we're not any better than some third world countries. They always point the finger at third world countries and they're like, oh, look, dictators, oh, they don't have any choice, oh, they don't get freedom of votes. But what is really different here, if we are being told we have variety, but in actual fact, our two, again, we operate by the first past the post voting system. So the two dominant parties in parliament are the same thing, just packaged differently. That's like, giving a child a key to a chocolate factory and telling them like, oh, this key is yours. Everything in the chocolate factory belongs to you. Have your way, have fun, enjoy it. We've got all kinds of chocolates in there for you to eat up. And then they get in there and they open what looks like a Bounty and they find out it's a Twix. And then they open what looks like a Mars bar and they find out it's a Twix. But Bounty's disgusting, by the way. But like, would you not be hoodwinked and bamboozled and feel conned? And that's how I feel. And I feel like a lot of people feel, like we're being told we have Buenos and Reese's Pieces and whatnot, but everything is a Twix. It looks like a Twix. It tastes like a Twix. We don't have any variety, but we're being gaslit into believing that we have, like we're being told that we have. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy to me. And that's why this dilemma, particularly amongst like Gen Zs and millennials, continues of like, who do I vote for? Because it's almost like futile. It's almost futile. And I'm around up here, but can we just talk about the fact that like Keir Starmer is welcoming MPs who are on the right of the Conservative Party with open arms, press releases, planned paparazzi photos, welcome them with all of the love in the world. But for him to even consider welcoming Diane Abbott back into the Labour Party, they had to come and drag him by the singlet. They have to really drag him by his ear, pull him by his ear to say, hello, can you consider our dear auntie? And we still don't know whether she's allowed back into the party, but somebody who represents everything he should be against politically, he's welcomed in a heartbeat. You don't see why I never, no, to that person who told me get your foot off his neck, never is my duty in this life, because what a loser. What a loser, man. Yeah. I circle back to that dilemma of like, still don't know how I'm going to vote. Actually, I say that, but I did vote different to the way I've ever voted in the local election. So I don't know, but yeah, Keir Starmer. Okay, so my main story for this week, and I'm actually so glad I can talk about this, because obviously when I had tonsillitis, I had planned to review Baby Reindeer. Like that was one of the things I wanted to speak about. And then I was like, oh, the time has passed, the window's passed, nobody's talking about it anymore. But in true online fashion, the conversation has been revived again, because another raggedy, individual, Piers Morgan, has decided to invite the real life Martha that's depicted in Baby Reindeer onto his degenerate YouTube talk show. And I was like, yes, thank God, because we can actually get into Baby Reindeer and all of what that was. Let me start by saying this. Hello, somebody. The lady who played Martha in Baby Reindeer, get her all of the awards. Right, just get her the Oscar, Emmy, BAFTA, what else is there? The SAG Award. Give her a flipping MOBO at this point, NAACP, because she played that role so well, to the point that like in my mind, she cannot be anything other than a psycho stalker killer. Okay, she's not a killer, but she can't be anything else. Like, she was so flipping good at that role. I really hope she's able to get other roles off the back of this, because she's such a good actress. But I feel like, should I explain quickly what Baby Reindeer is? I feel like everybody should know, but I'll do a quick like synopsis. So it's a story about a guy called Richard, or he's called Donnie in the thing. I actually don't know why, because the guy who plays Donnie is the real guy that it happened to. But basically, he went through like a 3-year battle of, it's not even a battle, ordeal of being stalked by this crazy psycho lady who he met one. So he was a barman in a bar in Camden, and he said he met her and he felt sorry for her, and she used to come in, and so he would offer her a free drink every time she came in. They just got to chatting and just having like a very standard like barman to customer relationship. But she is a psycho, and then decided to like full on stalk him. You know, there's like 41,000 emails that she sent to him. She tracked down his family. She like assaulted his partner at the time. All just very psychotic and traumatic stuff for him. And I'm going to be honest in saying that I did not finish the show, and I even feel like a bit of a fraud for talking about this because I didn't finish the show. But if you guys have watched it, you understand why. The show is weird. It weirded me out. Like, it really gave me the heebie-jeebies, and it just really made me very uncomfortable to watch. It wasn't fun. It was very dark. And so I actually didn't finish it. I do know how it ends. Again, not fun. But because, like I said, she played that role so well, she's fully convinced me she's a psycho stalker, sorry. So I just didn't really see any need to finish the show. But obviously it just did massively well, like blew up. I think I saw an article that says like it's on its way to being the most watched thing on Netflix ever. Listen, my God, there's a story in there. How can the most traumatic experience of this man's life now be the very platform? My God. You should lift your hands right there. How can that be the very platform by which he ascends and accelerates in life? That's crazy. God could use anything, even your pain. But we're not here to preach. What was I saying? What was I saying? Anyway, the internet blew up. And I think, so like I said, the thing weirded me out. Like, the show weirded me out. But what's weirded me out even more is people's reaction to it. Like, yeah, people are weird. People are really, really weird. Yeah. So in the aftermath of like Baby Reindeer release, people have been obsessed, and they've now spent their time like digging into, and we've all done it, right? Because like when I love a show, I will absolutely go and research all of the actors, and I will go and watch the cast interviews, and I will go and watch the behind the scenes. I'm currently, well, not currently, but I was watching Queen Charlotte. Oh my God, that show is so good. But best believe every article, every interview with the cast, India, Corey, I watch it. I feel like that's just a natural thing for people to do. But people have taken Baby Reindeer so far to the point that they are like trying to find the stalker, trying to find Martha in real life. And I think they've even tracked her down, and sending her death threats and like digging into her personal history, and all of these really, I don't even know if I would call them unethical, but just like really bizarre behaviors for something that should have just been a TV show. And yes, okay, it is a real life story, but at what point have we become so invested that we're unable to detach from whatever we consume, and it now has to have a personal bearing on our life? Like, I just find that to be so incredibly strange. And I want to bring theory in at this point, because if you know me, you know I love a little bit of theory. But Stuart Hall, who's a like really famous media studies theorist, basically came up with this theory. I feel like I've said theory like 10 times in the last 10 seconds. But he came up with this theory called reception theory. I just did it again. But basically it's a theory about how we as people receive content and pieces of media. So he basically says that with every piece of media, whether it's a what's it called, it's a film, it's a TV show, it's a piece of music, it's a book, there are three ways in which a person can receive that piece of content. So the first one is dominant reading, and that is basically when the intentions with which the producer made, in this context, the show, marries with your takeaway. So like, for example, if you leave this podcast watching or listening and your biggest takeaway is that Keir Starmer's a loser, you would have assumed the dominant reading, because that was my intention. That was my intention, making the decision to reiterate, making this podcast, this episode, English, to reiterate that Keir Starmer is a loser. And so the second reception that you can have is oppositional, which is where the intentions of the producer, when making that piece of content, you have an alternative takeaway or an alternative reading of what the producer made. That's not necessarily a bad thing, because diversity of thought is good, right? And then the third one, which is negotiated reading, is basically some sort of middle ground between the other two. So those are the three ways in which somebody can receive, hence the name reception, a piece of content. And so how you receive that content is contingent on who you are, so and what makes up who you are. So your race, your gender, your age, your class, if you're British born, if you're Nigerian, like all of these different assets, and that the dominant lens, I would say, that you view the world through will inform which of those, what's it called, what do I call them, which of those things you receive. So whether it's the dominant, the oppositional, or the negotiated reading. And so for me, where I'm talking about like, age and race and like, class all informs how you receive content. For me, what I'm seeing with Baby Reindeer is that the biggest thing here is that people are chronically online. And I know that's not like a demographic or like a personal attribute, but I do think in this day and age of like social media and everyone being chronically online, that's also another lens by which we view everything, because it's obscene, look at the English, insane and obscene to me that you can watch Baby Reindeer, you can see just how dark and twisted it is, and the reading, the reception, what you took away from it is to go and find out who Martha is, and is to go and stalk the stalker. Is that not, are we not getting a bit ahead of ourselves? Are we not a bit mad? Like, you watch Baby Reindeer and your reaction to that show, what you drew from your heart is to say, let me go and find the stalker. Let me go and find that psycho. That's what you took away from the show, to the point that the creator of the show has to come online and go on TV to beg and plead you people to stop trying to find out who she is. Are we not seeing what's going on here? We all need to go outside and touch some grass. Like, again, I didn't finish the series, but I got to the episode where he meets this guy who, spoiler alert if you haven't watched it, I don't know why I haven't watched it by now, but and also trigger warning, but Richard, the main guy in the show and the producer, creator of the show, he was sexually assaulted and raped by somebody who was supposed to be a massive deal in the TV industry, because he was trying to break into TV, because he was a like emerging comedian. And people have taken it from their heart to go and try to find the man that sexually assaulted him. And in doing that, they've been accusing random white men up and down the TV industry. Is that not insanity to you guys? Is it not crazy that is in all of the nuances and all of the complexities of that show? And there's so much to discuss, from victim blaming to the dynamic of it even being a woman stalker, to breaking into the TV industry. Like, there's so much in there. What you drew from your heart is, let me go and find the person that sexually assaulted Richard Gadd. That's what you took away. Can we get real with ourselves? Can we get real? I think that there's a really fine line between being interested in a show and crossing a boundary to the point that you treat somebody's life like a puzzle that you now have to put together and piece together. Like, no, just let the content be the content, watch it and detach yourself from it and move on. What are we talking about, guys? This is ridiculous. And, you know, as for Piers Morgan, that vagabond, anyway, because I've already spoken about you know, duty of care and just how irresponsible it was for him to have invited the real life Martha on the show. Like, and that's what I'm saying, that's what triggered this entire main story. That's what's re-triggered this conversation online, because he opened up that floodgate, because he decided to exploit her. Like, if you've watched the interview with Piers Morgan, I don't know if I'd recommend. I watched it, I got bored halfway, and I also don't like either one of them, but you can very clearly see that, like, she's and I'm not even trying to say this to be rude, but she's delusional. Like, mentally she's not really stable. So to exploit what is a really sensitive state for her, in order to get some clout and to get some clicks and to get some views, is just really low down and nasty and raggedy behavior. I don't actually expect anything better from Piers Morgan, so I wasn't shocked. But again, just to like buttress a point that I've made time and time again, I think I made it in the last episode, like, entertainment struggles, you know, media and entertainment struggles with duty of care and protecting the well-being of people on their sets, on their shows, as talent. Like, all of, like, they really, really struggle, that industry, with all of that. And Piers Morgan was very deliberate in how he did it, because I think I've spoken about this before, but he took his show off air. So where you could turn on the TV and watch it, you can't do that anymore. He took it off air and moved it to YouTube, a space where, as I've spoken about before, there are no regulations, there are no rules, there are no standards to operate by. And so he can exploit her all the more and with more ease, because he doesn't have to adhere to, like, Ofcom standards. And so it's really sad. It's really, really sad that he would do that. I don't expect any different. But yeah, I just think the whole discourse around baby Reindeer is just so weird. Like, I'm just really shy for everybody that went to go and search out the murderer. Why do I keep calling her a murderer? She's not a murderer. She's just a stalker. But I'm shy for you, because I think you need to find something for your hands to do. That's the fruit of being idle, because I don't even know what would draw you to do that. But if I can leave you with anything today, I would leave you with the sentiment to get offline, and to touch grass. You'll survive. You're like a few hours away from Twitter, couple days away from TikTok. I promise you, the content will be there when you get back. It's okay. You don't need to be online all the time, because it seems like being online is frying our brains, and causing us to do some really bizarre things. And I really would just like, you know, us to return back to a place of being normal. So if that's, you know, if you take anything away from today's episode, number one, it's that Keir Starmer is a loser. Number two, it's get offline. It is. And with that, I conclude episode 20 of It's That Deep. What a fun episode. I had a ball of a time, and I'm just excited to be back. So thank you so much for listening to this episode. Make sure you like, you comment. If you haven't subscribed and you're on YouTube, I don't know what you're doing at this point. Give us a follow on Spotify. Give us a rating on Spotify. Follow us on Instagram. That will be in all of the information for the show on YouTube and on Spotify. Give us a follow, man. Yeah. What else do I have to say? Nothing really. Thank you for listening. I will see you next week. We're back to business as usual from next week. So tell a friend to join us, because like I said, it's that deep. So I'll see you next week for another episode.